Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Stephanie. I'm the mom of 8 kids, ages 21 down to 5. And one of the things that we have always loved as a family is going on vacation. And so today I'm going to share with you some of our affordable vacation tips. Like, how do we afford to go on vacation as a family of now 10? Although this last vacation only 9 of us went. And I'm hoping to do a video also on kind of what we did on vacation. I cannot find my paper that shows what we did on vacation. But I think we also typed it up. And either way, I could go back and look through my pictures and write it up. But today I'm going to focus on how to go on vacation affordably. Like, how can you actually make this work? And so we have taken a wide variety of vacations. So some of the we just got back from a trip to Wyoming. And so we live in Nebraska. So we live kind of in the middle of the country. And so that does open up some opportunities of where we can drive and go. So we just got back from Wyoming, which was about an 8-hour drive, 7, 8 hours, somewhere in there. So we did, and we didn't go up to Yellowstone. A lot of people are like, oh, you went? No. We actually did Cheyenne and the Laramie area, went down to Fort Collins, Colorado for a day. We found places to hike and things to do in that area. We have done Colorado a couple of times. We actually went to Colorado on our honeymoon. We did Colorado Springs and we did sand dunes and we've done Rocky Mountains. Colorado, though, has gone up significantly in price, especially for lodging, and the Rocky Mountains have gotten super crowded. So we've actually not done that in, I think it was 9 years ago that we went for the first time. That sounds about right. Yeah, because the day before we went on our last Colorado vacation, I got hit by another car and we had to borrow a car to go on vacation. So that was interesting. Couldn't even rent one because the College World Series takes place in Omaha, and that was the week of that, and all of the big vans were rented out for that. That was crazy. But we were fortunate to have good friends that would loan us a vehicle because when you have 6 kids, at the time we had 6, you don't just fit in any old car. So we did Colorado a couple of times and then our honeymoon. And I do like Colorado, and if we could find a way to do it affordably and find things to do, we might consider that one again. Rocky Mountain's just gotten so crowded that, yeah. We went to Arkansas a couple of years ago. That was super fun. It was just really hot. I think it was a hotter week than normal, and so we went to the hot springs area. And where we stayed, we ended up staying almost an hour from anything, and we still had a little one, so that was pretty rough because we were driving a lot. But it's the only way we could find an affordable place to stay. So looking back, we aren't quite sure how we'd work that out. The other thing is we couldn't find anywhere to swim, like a beach or a lake or a something. And it was so hot that we ended up spending a lot of we'd hike a little bit in the morning and we'd spend a lot of afternoons at the house. And we could play games and stuff, and that was fun. But it would have been nice to find more places to do some more indoor activities or something cooling and relaxing. We did on like the next to last day find this creek that you could play in that was, I think, either a state or a national rec area, and it was only a few dollars. And if we would have found that earlier in the week, then we probably would have gone there like 3 or 4 days and played in that in the afternoon, and that would have definitely added to our fun of that. That was the downfall of this Wyoming trip, is we didn't have anywhere to go swimming, and it is fun during the summer to do some kind of swimming or beach play or whatever. We've done South Dakota several times. So again, we live in Nebraska. South Dakota's not that far. We can go up to Mount Rushmore, which is a very short thing, but it is pretty fun to see. And then Custer State Park is up there. So sometimes we did South Dakota, where basically we just did South Dakota. We did that in 2020 when there wasn't a lot open, plus it was a lot of outdoor stuff. And that was a real good way to be able to take a little trip in 2020. And we did, it was September, late August, early September. So again, we did lots of outside stuff, hiking at Custer State Park and things like that. We also have done where we did South Dakota, and then we came back through a little bit of Wyoming to Devil's Tower. So we did like South Dakota, Devil's Tower, and the Guernsey State Park which is in Wyoming also, but it has the trail ruts near there, and you can actually stand in the ruts from the Oregon Trail from the wagons going through. That is super cool. And then we did a couple things like I think we did Scottsbluff in Nebraska and a Pioneer Museum on the way back. So we kind of that one we did more as a road trip, and one we did more as we just stayed in South Dakota. We did the Creation Museum and Ark in Kentucky. That was super fun. We drove straight out there, which was a really long drive. My husband said that's the longest I would ever drive anywhere on vacation. What's up? You're fine. What do you need?
Right here.
Oh yeah, you got some. Yeah, those are some bombs. You must. I don't know what you did.
Is there something we can put on them? Like,
do they itch or just hurt?
They like sting, kind of like.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything. I mean, you could put some like itch cream on and see if that helps. Okay. Okay, back. Okay, so we did the Creation Museum and we drove straight out there. And then on the way back, we stopped in Springfield, Illinois, and did Lincoln's hometown. So that was really fun. We've also done several times. Well, we did. I did not put that on here. We did when we just had 3 kids. We did Smoky Mountains, and so that was a really fun trip too. We've also done Silver Dollar City several times, and we all love Silver Dollar City in Branson. If you are looking for a affordable, family-friendly amusement park option, I highly recommend Silver Dollar City. I would go there all day long over any other amusement park. What we tend to do if we're going to go, we get a season pass and then we go for like 3 days in the spring and 3 days in the fall. And that's all we do. So Branson is definitely a tourist trap. We are not tourist trap people. If you love all that, that's great. That's just, it just adds up so fast that we are just not those people. So we don't go do really anything else there. We spend our time at Silver Dollar City and at the hotel, but we spend all day at Silver Dollar City. So there's shows and there's rides and there's food to eat. And I mean, like, we just do it all. 2 days is definitely, we can do 2 full days easily. But we've started stretching it kind of to 3 days and doing 2 trips of 3 days. One time we did like 4 trips of 2 days. So the last couple times we've done 2 trips of 3 days to save on the gas and driving time and stuff. But we just cram pack those days. But I love it because I can say yes to almost everything. Maybe not all the food, but every ride's included. Everything's included. Like, I mean, there might be something that's not. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I mean, they have like a random gem mining or something, but we can go to all the shows. We can ride all the rides. We can eat all the food. Well, not all the food, but we eat a lot of food while we're there. We pack snacks too, because they do let you take in any food you want. But it's just so family friendly, and we just really, really enjoy it. So those are some vacation ideas. If you're like, where can I go? Those are places we've gone that have been really affordable. Notice they're not the typical vacation. Colorado obviously is, but like I said, we haven't gone there in 9 years. So a lot of them aren't typical vacation places. But so how we find lodging. So let's go through my tips. Okay, first trip is traveling. We drive. Only two of our kids have been on a plane. One had to fly to California for a doctor's visit, and one flew when they were 8 months old and now has flown for stuff now as an adult on their own. My husband and I haven't flown a lot. We didn't grow up flying on vacation. We flew one time on vacation. My stepdad was a truck driver, so we just drove everywhere. That's just what we did. Did I bring? Oh, hold on. I'm going to grab my drink. I have not had much caffeine today. Okay. So we just drove everywhere on vacation. I mean, when I was a kid, we drove to Washington, D.C., which from here is, I think, from where I grew up, a 16, 17-hour drive. We drove to California, which I think we did in a couple of days. But we drove from the Grand Canyon straight home, I think, one time as a kid. So very used to it. Um, so we drive on vacation because it's just be crazy expensive to try to fly us all somewhere. So we pick places that we can drive to. Our goal is to be able to spend time as a family and do fun things. We don't have, there's not just one place we have to go. There are places I would love to go. There are some cool sites and things I would love to take the kids to, but I'm not going to make that a priority over getting to do something. Because we do have pretty strict budget we have to stick within. So we try to stick within 8 to 10 hours of home for where we drive, partly because that's just a reasonable amount to do in a day. And if we have to do 2 days, we could drive, but that's harder. And with vacation time, we don't want to spend all of our time driving. We have done kind of more typical road trips when we had fewer kids. As we've gotten to needing 2 hotel rooms, the typical road trip is a little harder to plan. But we've done the trips where, you stay in a different hotel almost every night. And actually, I kind of look forward to doing that again. But we kind of got to get back down to like at least a suite style room, probably, to or somehow have way more income. I don't know. Lodging. So lodging is really what is so expensive. When we went on our honeymoon, this was Google literally existed, but barely. We went on our honeymoon. So we actually had a AAA book. My husband's grandparents were AAA members, which is funny because now we have AAA for our college daughter. So, but they had the AAA book. And for those of you that are my age, you might know this, but if you're young, my kids were laughing. And you open up to a state and you look for a city and it lists hotels in there. And then you called them and made reservations. And you could even mail them like a money order, cashier's check, something like that, to reserve your room because you didn't always have credit cards even back then. And if they did, they had to still like slide them over the thing. So, that's, yeah. So when we picked, that must have heard a doorbell, but that must have been on their CD they're listening to. So when we went on our honeymoon, that's how we found hotels. But you could find cheap hotels, or at least really affordable. They were not super expensive. Even for the first several years we were married and had kids and stuff, we could find $50 a night hotels. Now, granted, that was, 18 years ago. Now it's like every hotel is, even to find like the cheapest hotel, we're looking at $100 a night. So prices have doubled, which is just kind of what prices have done on a lot of stuff, right? But incomes have not really kept up with that. And so we do explore hotel options. We do look, but we do require 2 rooms. So, and we do not lie about how many people we have in our room. We are very honest. When we've done some other city, we do stay in hotels. We found a couple that we really like down there that have good rates. One of them has breakfast and then dessert at night. And so that's kind of become a big favorite because especially if we're going to go spend the whole day at an amusement park, it's been really nice to have like a big breakfast the kids can go eat. And then we'll buy lunch at the amusement park and take snacks, sometimes even take dinner stuff depending on how late we're going to be there. And then we get back to the hotel, we've done pizza a couple of times, but typically we just have like sandwich stuff, lunch meat, cheese, peanut butter. We'll make kids sandwiches. We have some fruit, and then we can go and have dessert then at night. So, but we do look at that. We also look at campgrounds that maybe have cabins that you can rent. That used to be a more affordable option. We found that a couple of times where we find a campground that had some cheap cabins. That again, we do not camp. So if you camp, that's a great option. We don't camp. So we don't camp. And the other option, of course, is VRBOs or Airbnbs. So that's what we've done. What we actually do, what my husband's actually done to find where we should go on vacation is he took the VRBO map and he just looked at the cost, like put in, I think that, we need a place that held 9 people, and then started looking at where was an affordable place to stay. And he found this affordable place to stay and said, can I build a vacation here? And so little backwards rather than going, I want to go here. How can I make that work? We found where we could afford and decided to build a vacation. Could we build a vacation around it? So that's, and again, that I think VRBOs and Airbnbs are going up in price. We happen to find this one at a really good price. Same thing with the one we found in Arkansas. We just happened to find something at a really good price and went with it. So I don't know our next vacation our next vacation we're going to go see our daughter graduate college next year. So we actually already have the hotels reserved for that. So that's, and we are staying in 2 hotels. The Airbnbs there were a lot more expensive. So it's really about comparing price and spending some time like kind of comparing those things. Activities. What do we go do on these vacations? I'm trying to watch the time because I do have to take kids to an appointment this morning. Okay. So we try to, a lot of times we'll pick like 1 or 2 expensive things to do. So obviously when we went to the Creation Museum and the Ark, that was our expensive thing. If we go to some other city, that's obviously our expensive thing. Like, but that's, again, like I said, that's all we do. We don't go see other shows there. We don't go play mini golf. Like, I want to go do all those things too sometimes, but to keep it affordable and doable, we have to stick to it. And then we do lots of state parks, national monuments, a national park, but some of those are getting super crowded. So, and the lodging tends to be really expensive by national parks, but many state parks are really awesome. So, I'll go through what we did in Wyoming on another video, but we went to one called Kurt Gowdy State Park and we hiked there for 2 days. We could have gone back. We ended up having to leave both days. We could do one hike after lunch, and so we left both days by 2. But we did get there by like 9 in the morning because we're early people. So, but we could have stayed longer had it not been raining, going to storm. We didn't want to get in the middle of the hike and have it storm on us. But we could have gone a third day. We either could have been there later or gone a third day. So like 2 or 3 days in one state park with hiking opportunities, super cool. We've gone to South Dakota. We've done Custer State Park. Again, lots of good hiking that you can do there. So many, many state parks, sometimes even a city park will have. The one we went to in Fort Collins, Colorado was actually a city recreation area and had some really great things. My husband did alltrails.com to try to find some trails. We don't hike the like 8-mile trails or 6 miles. I mean, we did get 6 or 7 miles of hiking in multiple days, but it was over several trails, not one trail. So some people might do those really long trails. You know, you do what you can do. But so state parks are great for finding those things to do. Look in cities and see what there is, what opportunities. We ended up going to a city-run facility that had roller skating and bumper cars. I kind of wanted to go back and go roller skating again, but we ended up doing something else. Museums, like we ended up going to a couple of free museums in Wyoming. So those are all, and make sure you look at recreational areas because sometimes those have trails or things to do. Some of them have ranger programs where you can earn badges and things that way. So there's often neat things to go do. You just have to do a little research of what can I do, what's around here, and start pulling that out. Food. Okay, I like to eat out. I'm not going to lie. Eating out is one of my favorite things. When we had a smaller family, we would eat out at least once a day on vacation, and we would try to eat local places. However, with a big family, it is just super expensive to eat out. Like between $100 and $150 to eat out. So if we do that every day of a vacation, you're talking like $1,000 of just eating out. And I can feed our family dinner. I can feed our family meals for the entire month on $1,000 if I need to. So, like all of our food. So what we do is we eat breakfast either at the house or at the hotel. If we're at a hotel, most hotels now have a continental breakfast. A lot of them are really nice. So we eat breakfast either at the house. We had got waffles. I'm trying to think what else I got for breakfast. We had bagels. I had waffles. We got donuts one day. One day my husband went and got fun donuts. I bought muffins. Make sure you look if there's a Walmart, go to the Walmart. I went to the local grocery store and they wanted $10 for 4 muffins. If you have room, you can pre-make stuff and take it with you. Our van was full. 12-passenger vans do not have a lot of luggage space. Our van was packed, so I really couldn't take like breakfast stuff with us, but you totally could if you had room. Yogurt and granola, waffles. The kids thought it was fun because they still kind of got to pick and choose what they wanted for breakfast each day. So then for lunch, since we're often out hiking or doing things, our lunches typically are going to be sandwiches. And so lunch, meat, cheese, let the kids make their choices. We have chips, we have fruit, veggies, pack it all in a big cooler. And that is, I also always have a jar of peanut butter and a jar of peanut butter, jar of Nutella, and a roll of tortillas. A roll of tortillas? A package of tortillas. And those are my emergency, like, we got stuck somewhere and don't have a meal. I can make everybody a peanut butter and Nutella tortilla. I do tortilla, not bread, because they don't smush. I can make everybody that. It is not some of my kids' favorite, but it will fill a belly if we're stuck somewhere. And we've had that on vacation where we got stuck in like really bad traffic or something. And I didn't have enough. That was when we just had a couple of kids. And it was like a disaster because our kids were starving and we weren't, I mean, it was our first, I think it was our first vacation, maybe our second. But so that was chaotic. Dinner. We try to eat out a few times for dinner. We usually do at least one night of pizza because it's cheap, like cheap pizza. And then we like to go to some local places if we can. We tend to avoid getting drinks unless it's just part of the kids' meal. But we don't have a lot of kids that eat kids' meals anymore. I think we were down to 3 that ate kids' meals. So we did a local place once. We could have gone back there, but my kids really wanted to go to Texas Roadhouse because they've heard us go. They haven't gone in a long time. So we did Texas Roadhouse one night. And we did a Korean place one. Well, actually, we did the Korean for lunch one day and then did sandwiches for dinner. We kind of flip-flop that. So that sometimes is what we do too. Like when we go to Silver Dollar City, we tend to eat out for lunch and not dinner. So that's another option depending on what you're doing during the day. You can eat out for lunch, which sometimes is cheaper, but also just kind of breaks up the day some. So to make things fun though, we did buy a bunch of pop for us to have at the house. So the meals we ate at the house, we could have pop with, or even when we got back from dinner, we could have pop. And we got a whole bunch of fun ice cream treats. So like every night they could have an ice cream treat after dinner. So that was, we made it fun by buying some extra fun stuff that we don't always, obviously we don't keep pop around the house all the time. We don't, well, I keep a lot of ice cream because I do like ice cream, but we don't have it every night. So those were some fun things that we did to make it just some extra fun. The meals that the dinners that I cooked, I kept super easy. And again, you could, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. You could pre-prep these and take them. And I did that one time. I just did not have room to take a cooler with. I kind of wish I would have, looking back, tried to squeeze it in. We did tacos one night. We did sloppy joes one night. And we did brats, like pre-cooked brats that we just cooked up. Super, super simple meals. Served with some frozen veggies and some fruit. Kept it so easy. And that was great. Those were super easy meals to make for our family. The house did not have a table for us to all eat at, but some of my older kids would go upstairs and eat. They had a TV upstairs and they would just eat up there and watch TV and hang out together. So that was a good thing. We want our kids hanging out and spending time together. Okay. I'm going to pause here and then come back and finish more of the video another time. So, although, are we almost done? Oh, actually, I'm almost done. Okay, I'm going to finish this real quick. The other tip for the other food part for saving money is snacks. I do a small lunchbox size cooler for snacks for each row of our van, and the kids can just eat those as they want on the trip, like on the travel days, or even like after we were hiking. Sometimes they'd get in the van and be hungry, and those were available. And then I had a big bag, like think lunch, like I'm taking everybody's lunch kind of cooler bag. And that I just filled with snacks. Some we I bought some that were prepackaged and some we repackaged ourselves. Like I bought a big thing of turtles from Aldi and we put it in little Ziploc bags. Pretzels we did put in little bags. So I did a lot of variety, did some fun snacks and some just like feed your belly snacks. Because we don't buy stuff at the gas stations when we stop. So you want some treats in there, like some fruit snacks or some fruit roll-ups. You want some treats. And I did also I had a whole bag of candy up front by me. So on the driving day, I think 2 or 3 times, twice on the driving day, and then several times while we were hiking, I would pull out a box of candy. Like, here's a box of Mike and Ike's, or here's some Twizzlers, or Nerds gummy clusters, and I would just pass them around, and everybody would take a few, and we would have that. Okay, so the snacks we used while we were there, we used for driving, and then we used while we were there. So when we go on a hike, we might pack some of the snacks because little ones don't always eat a big breakfast and they're hungry, especially if we end up driving. Sometimes we had to drive 45 minutes, an hour to get to our destination. So they eat breakfast and then we drive and then we do a little bit and then they're hungry before it's lunchtime. So that is some affordable tips. Let me know what tips you have for affordable vacations. I love going on vacations, but we do have to be reasonable. So just to kind of give an idea, our last vacation, our housing was, I wrote this down somewhere. Not on that. That was my grocery list while we were on vacation. I think I figured out we spent a total of $3,000 for vacation. Half of that was lodging, and then the rest was like food and gas. Of course, I didn't buy food at home that week, so food and gas, activities, but most of our activities were not very expensive at all. It was, $12 to go to the state park for the day for the whole family. We went to a cool missile launch site. That was a little more expensive. Actually playing bumper cars was pretty expensive. We played mini golf. But for a family of 9 of us were there for $3,000 for an entire week is really a good deal. And could we have made it a little cheaper? Yeah, if we needed to. We probably could have cut back on some of the food. Really, the food's the biggest thing we could cut back on. Lodging just cost a lot anymore. And because, housing costs a lot. And so that's a big part of it. But when I figured that up if you divide that out by 9 people, I did that earlier. I don't remember. Let's see. So that ends up being about $333 a person. So if one person was going on a trip for $333 for a week, you'd be like, that's a really great deal. So it's just numbers make things more expensive. Camping would be a great way probably to cut back on the housing expense. We just don't camp. So let me know your best tips for going on vacation or some of your favorite places to go on vacation, because it is one of our favorite things. I do love vacations.